I think we don't have any control over that.
Oh, really?
Anyway, we're live.
Good. I'm going to wait till 10:30. It's not quite.
That's fine. I just want to make sure everything's working today.
Right, good.
Should we get our tallies on?
It's totally up to you. I'm not going to wear one just too hot. Do we have a meeting? Yes, we do. What? I was just wondering if we yes, we do.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. We're good to go.
Yeah. Got quiet all of a sudden. Good morning, everybody. Boker Tov. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Steve Ritter. Most of you probably know that. It's been a while since I've been here, and I tried to adjust my service so that it conforms to the new time. I hope I did a good enough job with that. If I go long or short, I want to apologize ahead of time. Is that better? Yes. Okay. Maybe I should sing. Okay, we're going to start the service on page 9. And why don't we start by reading responsively from the top of the page. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And let's read together to the bottom of the page. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessings, O God. And the next page, page 10, you join me in singing Hine Ma Tov. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovi me'latov lai. Hine ma tovi me'latov lai. tov u'manaim, shevelai lai 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 lai. Hine ma tov u'manaim, sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manaim, sheverachim gam yachad. Ma tov u'manaim, sheverachim gam yachad. And continuing with Ma Yafeh Hayom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, and please turn to page 59. And who would like to read those two? One person for the paragraph at the top and the next person at the bottom. You want to volunteer for that?
I'll do it.
Go ahead, Jane.
God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks.
Ata Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'el Lehodot. Go ahead, Louise.
When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth.
Baruch Atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'el Lehodot. Now turn to page 119. And there's two lovely paragraphs on that page too. Who would like to volunteer to read one and then somebody else for the other? Top of page 119. Go ahead, Stan.
If people fail, can they not also rise? If they break away, can they not return? The stork in the sky knows when to migrate. The dove and the swallow know the season of return. What human instinct knows the time to turn back? What cue sparks the conscience of the soul? We pray to sense this day anew, attuned to the call of sacred living.
Life without integrity is loosely hanging threads, easily fraying from the main cloth, while in acts of piety we learn to understand that every instant is like a thread raveling out of eternity to form a delicate tassel. We must not cast off the threads, but weave them into the design of an eternal fabric. Each day points to eternity. The fate of all time depends on a single moment.
Thank you. I'm reading on page 166. Help me, O God, to find still moments, quiet spaces within to refresh my soul. Cease my questions, my inner debates, and let me meditate on your goodness. Help me, O God, to nurture my courage, recalling moments of strength. Let me remember days of fortitude and the possibility of your regard. Help me, O God, to turn to the light, to feel the warmth of your touch, my own face, and fingers outstretched, alive, alive in your sight. And who wants to read the next two paragraphs? Go ahead, Marty.
If you want people to hear you, you have to be up here with the mics. Lend us the wit, O God, to speak the lean and simple word. Give us the strength to speak the found word, the meant word. Grant us the humility to speak the friendly word, the answering word, and make us sensitive, God, sensitive to the sound of the words which others speak, sensitive to the sound of their words, and to the silences between.
Thank you, Marty. I'm on page 170. May my life be one link in a chain of goodness as I say the prayers of my ancestors. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam, shehechazarta bi nishmati b'chamla rabba emunatecha. I offer thanks to you, ever-living sovereign, that you have restored my soul to me in mercy. How great is your trust. And on page 172 for Matovu. Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ani le'kol hashtecha, avo beitecha, eshtaka ve'elazal koshecha, v'yiratecha, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. And on page 173, who would like to read the English in the middle of the page? Any volunteers? Go ahead, Alyssa.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom, you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to sustain life before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, re'afei kol basar u'mafit la'asot.
Thank you, Alyssa. And the next page, let's sing Elohai Neshama. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata b'tehorahi. And the next page, we'll do responsive chanting in Hebrew for the daily miracles. And I'll start. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sefi vina lahavin bein yom uvein laila. ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz al hamayim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish harumim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir shena me'anai, utenuma me'afafai. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'osani ben chorin. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvurah. And together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, vanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. We are on page 179. Adonai, our God, make the words of your Torah sweet to us and to the house of Israel, your people, that we and our children may be lovers of your name and students of your Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of Torah to our people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamelamed Torah la'amo Yisrael. And page 180, Elu devarim sha'am lachem shi'ur sha'adam ochel perotechem. And then who wants to read toward the bottom of the page? These are things. Go ahead.
First, we're all blessed to be in one of the official cool zones in San Diego today. These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people.
Thank you.
But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
And now we are on page. I got messed up here. What page were we on just now?
180.
So now we're on one. So now let's go to page 194 for Hatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadas shemei Rabbah v'yamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala uvizman Bisman Korif, Vimeru, Amen. Shmei Rabbam Evorach, V'olam Olam E'almaya, Yibarach, Yibarach Ishtabach, Yibari Romam, V'nase, V'tadar, V'talev, V'talal, Shemei Dekudesha, Berichu, Leila Min Kol Berchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiron bi'alma, V'imru, Amen. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 Yotzer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uverei choshek, osei shalom uverei et hakol, hameir la'aretz l'dvarim alecha barachamim, uvetuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid maaseh v'reishit, ma rabu masecha Adonai, kulam b'chachma asita, Malah haaretz kinenecha, tiparach Adonai Eloheinu al sheva me'aseh yadecha, v'al ma'orei or she'asita yefarucha sela, or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkeh kulanu mehera la'orot, Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer ha'ma'orot. And on page 199, who would like to read the English in the middle of the page? Need a volunteer, sure.
O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity. We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully, we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and the sages of Israel. And joyfully, we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose. May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and the wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Amen.
And the next page for the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And you may be seated while we chant together V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol miodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al v'vavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'shachpecha u'v'kumecha tam leot al yadecha v'hayu litotavot b'neinecha u'ksavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru ba'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Okay, and on page 204, we can sing Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Baili Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedor Bakodesh, No Ratihilot O Sefele, No Ratihilot O Sefele, Lam Dai Lai Ram Dai Lai Lai Lim. Bye, lai, lam, da, 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 lai, lai, lim, bye. Ay, 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 lai, lim, bam. Ay, lai, 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 lim, bam. Rahada asha shebechu bechuli mijay bechar al sfat hayam. Yachad kulam hodu imru bi'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Yam dai lai lam da 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 yad lai lai lim bam Yam dai lai lam da 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 yad lai lai lim bam Ay 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 yad lai lai lim bam Lai 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 lai. Lord, I'm going to do Tzur Yisrael.
Go on,
sifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. O God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanorah, El Elyon, Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, Zoker HaZeavot B'Machot, Umevi Gula Livnei Bneihem, L'Ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei atah Lotah, Rav Lehoshia, Morid atah, Mechalkei Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Make Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayei Emunato Lishenei Afar. Amocha Be'al Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Meimit Umechayei, Umatzmiya Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah leheyot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. And on page 208, Nekadesh Shemcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, V'karazeh el zeh v'yamar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Lo kol haaretz kevodo. Adonai Adirenu, Adonai Adonenu Madir, Shemecha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai Mim Kamo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu, Barachamav L'nei Kochai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Yitzion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Ulenetzam Nistadim Kedush Techa Nahagdish, V'Shimcha Eloheinu Mipinu Lo Yamush Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. And how about a rousing Yismachu on page 211? Yismachu b'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zah mekadeshei, mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat. Kulam Yismechu, Yismechu Kudesh Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Ratzita bo shidashto Shabbat. Emda yamim oto kirata Shabbat. Yismechu b'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu b'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. I think we can all agree that was lovely. I'm reading at the bottom of the same page. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week, we live under the tyranny of things of space. On Shabbat, we try to become attuned to holiness in time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And from here on, for the next several pages, we'll do silent prayer or meditation, sitting or standing, the Amidah prayer. And we will, when we're done, we'll go to Sing Shalom on page 216. Sim Shalom we're more accustomed to doing these days. So you want to lead us in that? Sim Shalom Tova Uracha Ein B'Chesed V'Rachamim V'Rachamim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Al Kol Yisrael Amecha L'Archeinu Yotzreinu Kulanu Kechad Bayom Panecha Ki Umalecha Natan Lanu Adonai Eloheinu Sim Shalom Torah Uracha Ein V'Chesed V'Rachamim V'Rachamim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Al Kol Yisrael Amecha. Okay, now we'll move to the Torah service. Dave, are you interested in helping out at the Torah? And the Torah service is on page 244, I think. Page 246. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah. Udevar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael.
think that's where it is right here. Whoop. I got the pages. If you have the new Plout, it's on page 1294. You got the old Plout, it's on 1456. If you have Friedman, it's 617. I'm sorry.
New plot is 1294.
Sorry. Okay. New Plout is 1294. Old Plout is 1456. Friedman is 617. Eitz Hayim is 1088. And Gordon, I'm sorry, I don't know where Stone is.
468.
468, okay.
Old plot was 1456.
Correct. Yes. I am going to start, that's a good question. I'm going to start at chapter 16, verse 18. Oh, okay, well, that'll help with this. We've got two Aliyah. The first, as tradition, is the yard site. Anyone else have a yard site? Please take your time. Come on up. Oh, wait a minute.
No, Shani is one. Certainly is two. Reshowing, yeah. Sorry about that.
No.
Yamod Rishon.
Hello, Yisrael, Ben Yehuda v'Peshaleah.
Remember my mother, Zimra.
Just tell your Hebrew name.
Oh, my Hebrew name is Shoshana Bat Avraham Zifra.
I have two Aliyahs. One is for my father-in-law, named Katie. I don't know his Hebrew name. And the other is for my dear daughter, Lori. It's Lori.
Okay.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaBorach.
Baruch Adonai Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
You shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes in all the settlements that the Eternal your God is giving you, and they shall govern the people with due justice. You shall not judge unfairly. You shall show no partiality. You shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. Justice shall you pursue, that you may thrive and occupy the land that the Eternal your God is giving you. You shall not set up a sacred post, any kind of pole beside the altar of the Eternal your God that you may make, or erect a stone pillar, for such the Eternal your God detests. You shall not sacrifice to the Eternal your God an ox or sheep that has any defect of a serious kind, for that is abhorrent to the Eternal your God. If there is found among you in one of the settlements that the Eternal your God is giving you a man or woman who has affronted the Eternal your God and transgressed the covenant, turning to the worship of other gods and bowing down to them, to the sun or the moon or any of the heavenly hosts, something I never commanded, and you have been informed or have learned of it, then you shall make a thorough inquiry. If it is true, the fact is established, that abhorred thing was perpetrated in Israel, you shall take the man or woman who did that wicked thing out to a public place, and you shall stone that man or woman to death. A person shall be put to death on the testimony of two or more witnesses. No one should be put to death on the testimony of a single witness. Let the hands of the witnesses be the first to put the condemned to death, followed by the hands of the rest of the people. Thus you will sweep out evil from your midst. If a case is too baffling for you to decide, be it a controversy over homicide, civil law, or assault, matters of dispute in your courts, you shall promptly repair to the place that the Eternal your God will have chosen, and appear before the Levitical priests, or the magistrate in charge at the time, and present your problem. When they have announced to you the verdict in the case, you shall carry out the verdict that is announced to you from the place that the Eternal chose, observing scrupulously all their instructions to you. You shall act in accordance with the instructions given you and the rulings handed down to you. You must not deviate from the verdict that they announce to you either to the right or to the left. Should either party act presumptuously and disregard the priest charged with serving there the Eternal your God or the magistrate, that party shall die. Thus you will sweep out evil from Israel. All the people will hear and be afraid and will not act presumptuously again. If after you have entered the land that the Eternal your God has assigned you, taken possession of it, and settled in it, you decide, I will set a king over me, as do all the nations about me. You shall be free to set a king over yourself, one chosen by the Eternal your God. Be sure to set as king over yourself one of your own people. You must not set a foreigner over you, one who is not your kin. Moreover, he shall not keep many horses or send people back to Egypt to add to his horses. Since the Eternal has warned you, you must not go back that way again. And he shall not have many wives, lest his heart go astray, nor shall he amass silver and gold to excess. When he is seated on the royal throne, he shall have a copy of this teaching written for him on a scroll by the Levitical priests. Let it remain with him, and let him read it all of his life, so that he may learn to revere the Eternal his God, to observe faithfully every word of this teaching, as well as these laws. Thus he shall not act haughtily toward his fellows or deviate from the instruction to the right or to the left, to the end that he and his descendants may reign long in the midst of Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. I'm remembering my grandfather, Avraham ben Shalom.
I'm remembering my mother, Zifra bat Shmuel Vadina.
I'm remembering Nathan Caden, my father-in-law, and I'm remembering Lori Lubick, my daughter.
Thank you all.
Namod Sheni. And this aliyah would be for anybody that wants to come up and share something of any type. There's no particular requirements.
Elena bat Abraham bat Sarah.
Mariachaf ben Eliyahu.
Baruch Adonai Hambarak.
Baruch Adonai Hamarak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Let's see if I can find my place.
You're at the first verse of it.
18, right?
You're at 1.
Yeah, 18:1. The Levitical priests, the whole tribe of Levi, shall have no territorial portion with Israel. They shall live only off the Eternal's offerings by fire as their portion, and shall have no portion among their brother tribes. The eternal is their portion, as promised. This then shall be the priest's due from the people. Everyone who offers a sacrifice, whether an ox or a sheep, must give the shoulder, the cheeks, and the stomach to the priest. You shall also give him the first fruits of your new grain and wine and oil, and the first shearings from your sheep. For the eternal your God has chosen him and his descendants out of all your tribes to be in attendance for service in the name of the eternal for all time. If a Levite would go from any settlements throughout Israel, where he has been residing, to the place that the eternal has chosen, he may do so whenever he pleases. He may serve in the name of the eternal his God, like all his fellow Levites who are there in attendance before the eternal. They shall receive equal shares of the dues without regard to the personal gifts or patrimonies. Okay, now, where are we?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam notah b'tofenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. So this is a great lead-in. This is my life, and I'm okay with it. I did not realize when people call me tiny that I'm actually tiny. In my head, I'm 6 foot tall. This week proved me wrong. I got in the pool. I thought this would be a great idea back in December to sign up and do a scuba certification with my husband. He has some diagnosis with his ears, so it's all me. And I put on that heavy equipment, and I shrunk, and I'm strong. 50 pounds later, all in my mask, I'm like, can I do this? Can I really do this? I pop my head up. I don't know. Calm your mind down, Ellen. You have breath. And so 5 hours one day, 5 hours the next day, it's becoming more and more fun. So La Jolla Shores is next. I got to get some prescription for my goggles. I got to buy goggles. And then Catalina is after. So I'll keep you guys updated there. Back in December, maybe a little bit earlier, also I embarked on my canine massage program certification, and I just got my certificate this week. So push me, because I want to give back to our animals even more. We have fosters, but I can do more. So thanks for letting me share.
Saturday morning is my favorite day of the week, favorite morning of the week. I'm involved in a number of activities at this temple. I love none more than Torah study. And then when I'm done there, to come here is a icing on the cake. Not just for the prayers, not just for the study, but to be with you folks. I know almost all of you. Many of you are close friends. I really care for all of you. It's a pleasure. And today, what a pleasure for me prior to us starting when I saw two more dear friends from Temple Emmanuel wander in to support me being up here because they knew how nervous I was. Ron and Barbara, thank you both very much. I deeply appreciate it.
Marty, I'm sure everybody here feels the same way about you. So.
Okay. So what's next? Okay. Do we?
Leave the Torah for a few minutes. I'll do
You want to do Mishabera?
Yeah, I'll do Mishabera. So on page 253, while the Torah is still out, we will do Mishabera. And if there are people that you're thinking about this morning that could benefit from being mentioned in the Mishabera prayer, this would be your opportunity to do that. Oh, you come up here and do it, okay.
I'd like to mention Debbie Simmons, Mark Booth, Kathy Booth, and Eddie Koo.
I'd like to mention my wife, Sharon Ritter.
David Holub, Barbara Baranque, Bunny and Michael Weitz, Eric Winston, Sima Oppenheimer, David Kroll.
I'd like to mention my husband. Told you about his ear thing. He has Meniere's disease. So if you have any feedback, let me know. So Adam Kahn, Heather Renee Moeller, Michelle Davis, Luke Talby, David Kroll, Carolyn Lilly, Ray Walton, Kaylin Kaig.
Eric Winston, David Kroll, Beverly Douglas.
Larry Panseggi, Jeff Hicks, Bernie Kesselman, Lena Anfanger, Jim Oles, and Daniel Levins.
My sister, Deborah Reff.
Deborah Fisher's mother, my puppy Ozzy, who's not taking the heat very well, and Lisa and I, who are slowly recovering from COVID, and all those out there in the community, United States and the world who are suffering.
Sam Kamen, Abby Thomas, Carl and Leslie Sebastian, Jack and Bernice Sandbrand, Bob and Carolyn Johnston, Elaine Edelman, Gordon Glenn, Jay and Gloria Harris, Larry Krause, lost my place, Ellen Kahn, David Kroll, Adele Levy, Lee Levy, Herb Lubick, Mary Marshall, Esther Rosenberg, Sharon Ritter, Rhonda Schwartz, Fred Valfer, Sylvia Witterspan, and Brophy Toledo.
Thank you, Marty. And Mr. Berach, prayer is on page 253. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor Abraham Vivotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor Abraham V'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Would you rather do your drush with the Torah out, or want to put it away first?
We maybe should at least roll it up.
Okay, so I might do Hagbah then.
Okay.
Stan, are you feeling up for Hagbah? No? Okay. Come on up.
Muscles will take care of this for us.
There you go. This will be on page 252. Part of the process of putting the Torah away.
This is awkward because it's
Vizot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai V'yad Moshe Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim
Torah, Le'al Havodah, Le'al Gemilut Hasadim. Torah, Le'al Havodah, Le'al Gemilut Hasadim.
There you go. Never forget the Okay. We are. It is a tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and all its supporters are happy. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Return to you, Adonai, and we will return. Renew our days as of old. God's Torah is perfect, reviving the soul. God's teaching is sure, making wise the simple. God's precepts are right, delighting the mind. God's mitzvot are clear, giving light to the eyes. God's word is pure, enduring forever, and God's judgments are true and altogether just. And now, are you ready for the rush?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Marty will edify all of us with the drush.
Better use this one. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, all. Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion shows an evolution in our relationship with God and the rules of life. Prior to this, it seems that everything has been set up by God, and one must follow it exactly, or else. We have seen Aaron's sons failing to follow proper instructions in setting up the tabernacle, and they are consumed by fire. When carrying the Ark of the Covenant, it tilts too much in one direction, and an innocent man touches it to keep it from falling, and he is struck dead. The message is clear. Do exactly what God says, or you are doomed. But now, in this parsha, we learn that it is time for us to judge each other. In this parsha, the Torah tries to give us some guidelines as to how to do this. I see a couple of important themes here. One is joint responsibility. We are told there will be judges, prophets, and kings amongst us, but we as a community need to hold them to account. This section gives all kinds of rules or codes for these leaders. It is much like our Constitution, which is set up as rules for government. The second theme is a constant striving for fairness, or as it famously says, justice, justice shall you pursue. This is not just for our court system or for our government, but for us as individuals in our daily lives. To limit the power of our leaders, there are warnings that they are not above the law. In an effort to avoid the problem of absolute power corrupting absolutely, Even the kings and judges must follow the rules of the Torah. They are cautioned that they should not accumulate too many material goods, such as horses or chariots. Plus, the kings are required to study the Torah, so they will understand what is expected of them. Even the Levites, our priests and guides in life, are not giving any land to limit their wealth, and we are all warned that while there will be prophets, we need to beware of false prophets. Future judges are cautioned to be fair and impartial and not to take into account the status of either the victim or the accused. Judges are warned that they are also not above the law and cannot take bribes. They must decide cases based on the facts. They are told lean neither to the right nor to the left, although I doubt that what that means today was in anyone's mind back then. Plus, in cases of capital crimes, 2 witnesses are required for a conviction. We are made aware of mitigating circumstances. Certain exceptions for special situations are noted here. For example, while all healthy men are expected to fight in wars and are reassured that the Lord will be with them, there are exemptions for married men. Here we discover the difference between law and justice. The pursuit of justice is for everyone, not just for the leaders. It is no accident that the line, "Justice, justice, you shall pursue," the word justice is repeated. We must all try to be fair and do the right thing. It is also no accident that the word for justice is tzedek, and that is also the root word for tzedakah, or obligation to help others. Doing the right thing should be a proactive endeavor. We are told we will all be held to account. If a body is found in the desert, the people of the nearest town are culpable because the Torah says we're all responsible for each other. Sanctuary cities are set up for people who believe some may be so upset over a possible crime committed, they will not see the mitigating circumstances, such as in the case of a death that was an accident. These sanctuary cities and the people in them must accept the responsibility for their fellow man. It is not always easy to know what is just or fair. In some of the stories in the Torah, it occasionally seems as if God struggles with it. Is it just for Joshua to kill and force the current residents of the Holy Land to leave? Abraham feels it necessary to argue with God over Sodom and Gomorrah about killing everyone, including the children. He says, "Shall not the judge of all the earth do justly?" How does one decide if we are being just or fair or doing the right thing? We must accept that it is an ongoing process. It is wrong to label someone as a totally just or unjust person for one incident. It is their actions in each situation that count. In teaching American history, which I did for almost 30 years, I always tried to avoid making such simple statements. I would describe people like Washington and Jefferson as the real people they were. Sometimes they had amazing accomplishments, like leading the country through the American Revolution or writing the Declaration of Independence. Yet I always included that they were also slave owners. I would make sure to explain the excuse, "the times were different," does not hold up. In their personal writings, both men showed that they knew slavery was wrong, but both kept their slaves throughout their lifetimes. Both men were clearly racist, convinced of the inferiority of their slaves. Yet, they forged a nation and laid down the basic principles that this country still swears by today. One cannot say they were just or unjust for this. They were human, a mixture of both. Over 65 years ago, the success of the Montgomery bus boycott was actually helped immensely by many white Southerners who assisted black people by giving them rides to work. When Rosa Parks was arrested, she was sitting in the back of the bus as the law required. But when the bus filled up, she properly refused to give up her seat to a white man. Many white people felt forcing a woman to give up a seat to a man was a violation of basic manners and decorum. It was seen as unfair or unjust. Yet these same whites who would assist black people in getting rides to work would enthusiastically continue to argue for separate schools and laws against the mixing of the races. I say again, people are not entirely just or unjust. They are human. I wonder how many of us in this room 30 years ago would have said that it is wrong for gays to marry. Certainly, I will confess to that. Today, we recognize that as a bigoted stance. Those of us who have changed our view say that we have evolved, but for that error, some others might still label us or me as being unjust. Each generation strives to take steps to improve. We are all Washington and Jefferson, with the power to do both good and bad, and in our lives, we end up doing both. But we must constantly strive to do what is right. The Torah does not say, justice, justice you shall achieve, but it says, justice, justice shall you pursue. We never seem to reach the end of our journey. This is a part of life. We must understand that it is a journey with a destination always just out of our reach. Or, as Robert Browning said, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp. Or what's a heaven for? Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks, Marty. That was, as I anticipated, that was edifying. Thank you for that. I will make one comment. You say that we sort of all still have those original principles in our DNA. I think that really remains to be seen. Okay, it's a little bit late. We have time for Aleinu and Kaddish, and Aleinu is on page 282. Aleinu lishabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה יוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו גויי הרצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated momentarily. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss and of life and death. And if you're remembering somebody's yortzeit today, please share his or her name with us. Yes. Yes.
Abraham Lazarovitz.
Yes. Okay. All right. And please rise for the Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'zman koriv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach la'olam yamaya, yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadam. V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran Bialma Ve'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. Ve'im Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mamav. Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen. Zikronam Livracha. May their memories be for blessing. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. If there are, anybody have any announcements?
There's always room for announcements.
I thought so.
Time for it. First, want to thank Steve Ritter for presenting a wonderful service for everybody. Also, Marty Stern for doing double duty, reading Torah and giving a very insightful Devar Torah. Also, everybody else who has come in today, made your presence known, bringing all the kavanah and all the ruach that we can put together. This is one of the larger groups that we've had in quite a while, so that's very positive news. A couple weeks ago, I sent an email, and the title was "Minyan is Back." Not that it ever went away, and this is showing that Minyan is back, Minyan as we remembered it to be. I want to thank those who are watching on YouTube. Your thoughts are with us, and hopefully at some point in the future you will be able to attend with us. Next week, our service leader is Elaine Edelman. Louise Winhild will be reading Torah, and Lana Schaefer will be giving a Devar Torah. So we're all looking forward to that. Thank you, Shabbat Shalom, and we will be having our Oseh Shalom circle outside as well as the Oneg. What? We can do it inside, yeah, in the activity center. Thank you, Shabbat Shalom.